The smartest person in the room is rarely the one who remembers the most. This week, you forgot a definition you reviewed 3 times, stared at the ceiling trying to pull it back, and felt that quiet panic rising in your chest. In a few minutes, you'll see why neuroscience shows intelligence was never about storing more, and why chasing perfect memory can quietly make your thinking worse. You were taught a simple equation. Better memory equals higher intelligence. It sounds obvious. The student who recalls every formula, the colleague who quotes entire passages, the friend who never forgets a name. They seem sharper. But pause. You're solving a problem. Halfway through, you freeze. You know you studied this. You know it's in there. Why can't I remember something this basic? Maybe I'm just not built for this. That tightening behind your eyes, that small drop in confidence, that isn't low intelligence, it's working memory overload. Working memory is the brain's mental workspace. The psychologist George Miller once estimated it could hold around 7 items. Later research suggests even fewer. When too many elements compete at once, the system stalls. It's like trying to rearrange furniture in a room already packed wall to wall. You don't need more furniture, you need space. Intelligence is not storage, it's coordination. Here's what surprised researchers. Some people with extraordinary memory were not extraordinary thinkers. They could memorize pages of text, long strings of digits, endless detail. But when tested on fluid intelligence, the ability to solve new problems, their performance was often average. Memory and intelligence correlate, but they are not the same thing. What predicts reasoning more strongly is working memory capacity, and even more than capacity, cognitive control. Control matters more than capacity. Cognitive control is your ability to direct attention deliberately, to suppress irrelevant information, to manipulate what's useful and ignore what isn't. You felt the absence of it. You're reading a dense paragraph. Halfway through, your mind drifts. You reread the same sentence again. Why can't I focus? That friction is attention residue. Part of your mind is still holding on to the previous thought, so the new one cannot fully load. Attention is selective, and intelligence depends on selection. A brain that tries to hold everything holds nothing well. Here's where most people go wrong. They think if I just improved my memory, I'd be smarter. But memory without structure creates interference. Interference happens when similar pieces of information compete during recall. Definitions blur, dates overlap, concepts tangle. When everything connects to everything, nothing stands out. When everything matters, clarity collapses. Intelligence depends on compression, not accumulation, not volume. Compression. The smartest minds don't store more raw data, they distill more. This is where chunking enters. Chunking is a real cognitive process. Separate elements are grouped into meaningful units, reducing load on working memory. A chess grandmaster doesn't remember isolated pieces, they perceive patterns. A musician doesn't track single notes, they hear phrases. Structure replaces clutter. It's the difference between loose papers scattered across a desk and a single organized blueprint. And something subtle happens when understanding deepens. You need less memory to hold the same idea, because understanding compresses. You've lived this. The first time you learned algebra, every symbol felt heavy. Variables, rules, steps, too many moving parts. Months later, it feels lighter, integrated, obvious. You didn't grow a bigger storage unit, you reorganized the space. Neuroscience shows that repeated, meaningful engagement strengthens neural pathways through myelination. Signals travel faster, with less effort. Practice doesn't just store information, it streamlines it. Speed is often a symptom of organization. Now let's resolve the deeper question. If intelligence isn't about memory size, what is it? It's adaptive flexibility. Fluid intelligence relies on the prefrontal cortex coordinating information in real time, not hoarding it, and that coordination requires inhibition. Inhibition is the ability to suppress distractions, irrelevant associations, impulsive responses. Intelligence is as much about what you ignore as what you recall. A powerful mind filters, it doesn't flood. Think about when you felt most clear, not when you were cramming facts, but when something clicked, when you could explain it simply, when you saw the pattern behind the details. Clarity is compression in action. Maybe you weren't struggling because your memory was weak. Maybe you were overwhelming your workspace. Maybe you were trying to carry bricks instead of building structure. So here is the constraint. Next time you study something new, don't aim to remember everything. Aim to reduce it. Close the material. On a blank page, write the core idea in one sentence. Force simplicity. Then expand it into 3 supporting points. No more. If you can't compress it, you're still memorizing noise. That act combines retrieval practice with elaborative encoding. You recall actively, then you reorganize meaningfully. Short, deliberate, stop. Return the next day and compress it again. Fewer words this time. You are training structure, not storage. Structure scales. Over time, your working memory feels lighter, not because you added capacity, but because you reduced clutter. The student who tries to memorize everything often feels tense, crowded, always chasing, always behind, always wondering why it feels heavier for them. The student who builds patterns feels calm. Calm is not laziness, it is organization. Intelligence was never about becoming a vault, it was about becoming a filter. So the next time you forget a detail and feel that familiar sting, pause. Forgetting a fragment does not mean you lack intelligence. It means your brain is choosing what deserves space. The real question isn't, how much can I store? It's, what structure am I building? Because a mind that stores everything becomes heavy. A mind that compresses becomes sharp. You don't need to remember more than everyone else. You need to see more clearly. And clarity has never been a function of volume. It has always been a function of design.